Welcome to the White Lotus channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the White Lotus Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or lists and sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out. All their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Oh, you know I had to take that off of Bosch and Roll. That's his intro. There are no sponsors and there is no Discord community for me except for the McSlash Discord server. His link's in the description. You can check that out. Check out his streams on the daily. If you're lucky, sometimes the subscriptions are gifted. What we have today is Boros Synth. It's pretty much with Paupergeddon and the different things that have gone on over the last, let's say like the last week. It's gotten an upgrade with the Lord of the Ring card. I'm not going to spend a lot of time going into deep detail on Boros Synth. Most people in the meta are pretty familiar with it. But we also have to understand that not everybody that's watching the video has the same level of experience or awareness of different decks that are in the format. So the first thing we're going to do is just take a look at the curve real quick. It's a great curve. I mean, you can just eyeball it, and that's just clean. So many 1-drops, 2-drops, and a Miser 3. The land base, instead of the 4 tapped artifact lands, Rustvale Bridge, they've gone with 3. And I'm going to post a link to. I'm running the same version. I think it was the second place finisher, I believe. So I'll put his link in there and give him credit for an outstanding achievement. So we've got 9 total artifact lands. The rest of the artifacts that we're getting to turn on Metalcraft are coming from Experimental Synthesizer, Limbas, from Lord of the Rings, Ichor Wellspring, tokens off Thraben Inspector. Going short on artifact lands helps prevent some of the strategies your opponent may have, who will and do attack your land base with Revoke Existence, Dust to Dust, things like that. So they've minimized, you still need them, but the deck constructionist has minimized his artifact land count, which I think is preferable. I've not had any issues at all having Metalcraft turned on. The deck is very grindy, and it's pure value. Like, if there's anything about this deck at all that will stand out, it is just cantripping and drawing all the time. You're going to be taking Glint Hawk to return Lembas, Ichor Wellspring, Barb Battlefist, replaying, creating new creature every time you recast Barb Battlefist. There's just tons of value. It's extremely mana efficient deck. It doesn't burst out the gates. It doesn't have explosiveness. It's just got value. It's only running, I don't want to say it's running 14 creatures, because you would treat Barbed Battlefist as a creature and potentially multiple creatures. So 14 creatures in the deck is a little misleading. But there's a lot of spells. There's a lot of things to do. You're creating creatures too off Experimental Synthesizer. Again, those familiar with the meta, none of that is new. For those that are maybe haven't played against it or haven't piloted it, there's your decision tree. There's so many different things to do each turn, but it's not a complicated deck to play. I will say Lembas is an upgrade over Ichor Wellspring. When I first saw it, I wasn't sure. But here, when you look at the deck and you pilot Boros Synth, not too often are you sacrificing Ichor Wellspring to the one of makeshift munitions in the deck. Sometimes they run 2. So drawing a card off a Scry 1 is an upgrade over Ichor Wellspring's Enter the Battlefield effect. So there are times too, the other component of the card, Lembas, is you can sacrifice it and gain 3 life. I've not had to use that ability, but I think it shuffles back into your library as well. Yeah, it does. So mainly, what is the dominant function of the card in this particular build? It's going to be to Enter the Battlefield effect, Scry 1. And you're going to duplicate that ability with Glint Hawk and Core Skyfisher returning it, Scrying 1 repeatedly. You do have two Dawnbringer clerics. I love this card. It's it's pure utility, right? With Journey to Nowheres in the format, or exiling a card from the graveyard, or just gaining 2 life versus red. That part is not as important as I think the other two are. It's just such a utility creature. Sideboard, 2 more Dawnbringer clerics, anti-red, exiling artifacts. Not artifacts, exiling enchantments, taking something out of the graveyard. It's a great affinity card if you can play it fast enough. That being fast enough, being Blood Fountain is not going to be activated until the next turn. Maybe they're tapped out. So it's good for removing an Enforce or other things like that. Quark Clan Shaman is in for, and I'm going to say this too, just caveat for a second. Quark Clan Shaman is a powerhouse in affinity. It just cleans up the board so quickly. I think it's an underrated card or an underrated board sweep. Granted, it doesn't hit flyers. You see people make that mistake all the time, but it's a great card. So if you're up against decks that are running tons of low to the ground creatures, Quark Clan Shaman, you could even make it a 2-of, to be honest with you. It just gets a lot of work done. Pyroblast for your fairies matchup, UB Terror matchup. Cast in the Fire. It's not come into play too much in the few matches I've played with it. I will point out that Cast in the Fire deals 1 damage each of up to 2 target creatures. That does not mean that you can target a single creature and do 2 damage to it. It is 1 damage each of up to 2 target creatures. And then you can exile a target artifact. So it's a huge benefit to have main deck hate versus affinity. And if you're not playing affinity, you still get your point of damage on creatures at instant speed. So it's a great main deck addition, and you're running 2 more on the side. Dust to Dust obviously is, you don't need 4 copies of Dust to Dust, which I think gives the deck a little bit more flexibility. You've got 2 copies of Cast in the Fire that exiles an artifact, 2 more that exile an artifact in the sideboard, and then 2 Dust to Dust to clean up the affinity match. Relic of Progenitus, anti-UB, Terror, anti-affinity. It's got great matchups overall. It's been a blast to play, but again, it's very grindy. A lot of controlling aspects to it, a lot of decisions to be made, but they're not complicated decisions. It's more of, am I getting a blood token that off of Thraben? Not blood token. Yeah, blood token off Thraben Inspector. Clue token, not blood token. Am I getting a clue? Am I returning Lembas? There's all kinds of different decisions to make, but they're not complicated. So it's extremely enjoyable to play. We're going to be facing Simic Ponza. I hope you enjoy the match. Match 1, Game 1 versus Simic Ponza. Great opening hand. Got a lot of utility in the opener, which is fantastic. Again, we don't know who the opponent is currently. We don't know what's going on. Arbor Elf with the blue-green land, Rhinewood Falls. Pretty confident he's on Simic Ponza. At this point, you kind of wish that you had the indestructible artifact lands, but that's result-oriented thinking. On the Simic version, they do run Temporal Spring. You can at least get the land back, but their other land destruction spells do remove them. They have a very difficult time with flyers. They do run Maul Drifter, and the dinosaur provides reach, so they can block it. But the goal is to just reduce their life total and get them into burn range. They have no life gain spells in the main deck that I'm aware of. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. So game plan at this point is getting Glint Hawk and Bar Battle Fist onto the field. And just try to attack. Just get him under 10. And hopefully burn from there. Takes care of the rest of it. We're on turn 6 though. And they don't have any extremely large creatures in play. So confident about that. He's doing a number on the lands, which he was successful at throughout the match, which is fine. We have a low curve. It doesn't hurt us as much as it does other decks. The tap lands do hurt, but that's just variance. We could have just as easily have drawn untapped lands. Maul Drifter is just such a great card. I kind of like the Simic version over the Gruul version of Ponza. That's just my own preference, mainly because Gruul Ponza, with its high variance, kind of win big or lose big approach. The blue version just gives them access to so many more cards. They don't burn out nearly as fast as the Gruul version does. He's starting to establish a board presence. I'm not as worried with his smaller creatures as I am against the dinos. Galvanic Blast is great. The goal for that is obviously to burn the face, but we're a little short on burn spells right now. Really didn't get an opportunity to kind of loop the Limbus Core Skyfisher Glint Hawk plan. I have in other matches. Opponent now is down to one card, but when you do get to play it two, three, four times consecutively, it gets a lot of work in, and that's a huge punt, right? Like, read the card, dude. Like, the card does 1 damage each of up to 2. So yeah, that was massive punt on my end. I'm saving the journey for the dinos and just really trying to get as much damage done in the air. Kind of sucks to have to burn Galvanic Blast there, but I'm not getting through at the moment. I'm not going to get any kind of air assault going with Maul Drifter, and if the dino comes into play, it really shuts things down. Now I kind of wish I had the Gal Blast back. We could certainly let him just attack with Maul Drifter over and over and use your life as a resource. That's certainly an approach, probably the correct play. We'll just be fighting over this Monarch here. He's got nothing to block the flyer currently, but I'm really comfortable with him at 12 damage with a lightning bolt in hand, and now we have a second flyer on board. Pretty confident I'm winning this game. Him drawing a dino would certainly not help, but I could have cracked the clue there, but I'm really just trying to build a battlefield presence. And I apologize for the nasal thing there. I've got some terrible allergies. Just get as much done in the air as we can right now. Life total is fine with what he's got on board. There's no boarding party to be concerned with. It's just dino. So if we just get him down into burn range, we're good, which we do here. Yeah, at this point, game is ours. We're just waiting to untap and finish the job. Opponent has no cards in hand, just drew one off pack mate. Go on to game 2. Game 2 of the match. It's not the most exciting opener, but we've got access to colors. We've got double Dawnbringer now, so if he's going with his enchantment plan, which he didn't, because I was really hoping he'd enchant a land and we'd go ahead and play Dawnbringer and bust that out, but did not occur. And when you have Bar Battle Fist and ways to return it, trading this is not a problem at all. I was hoping it blocked. He did. Not a problem. I don't have a way to return it right now, but Bar Battle Fist with Glint Hawk and Core Skyfisher, especially on a little bit of a slower deck when your opponent's doing that, is just pure value. I didn't think he would trade here. I don't believe he does. Nope. He'll use that as an accelerant. We'll move forward, draw a card. Just trying to get value. And playing the deck is just pure value. Sequencing is important. Like sequencing is always important. He's doing a number on my lands though. I mean that's 2 temporal springs and a thermocast out the gate. When he's tapping like that, we all know what that means. Crazy thing when I play Altasaur, I feel like I always cascade into the elf. Like every time. 90% success that I'll hit Land of War Visionary. The second dino is a problem. I mean, life total is great, but really at this point, the game plan is he is well within burn range. I just need to get Galblast and Bolt. Me trying to, you could hit the next copy of Journey to Nowhere somewhere. I mean, it's certainly a plan, but I'm on the burn plan right now. That's what I'm hoping for. It's a struggle. But you'll notice that they're not really running low on cards. And I do think that the Simic version is just really good at kind of keeping their hand full when the Gruul version can kind of run out. We're just looking for burn. There's one. And at this point forward, me thinking he's got no life gain at all in his deck. I don't believe they run any. Maybe Weather the Storm somewhere. I'm not sure. It's not that the Boros Synth casts a whole bunch of spells per turn. Some, but not a lot. So it's really just, can I find a bolt somehow as fast as possible and just end it? We can look in his graveyard. What we got? 3 Acid Moss to Glamour, 3 Temporal Springs, 1 Thermocast. I mean, bruh, it's getting a little bit much, but that's okay. Opponents at 3 life. We know the game plan. Find Bolt. Kind of hard though. We can't get it off a clue. If you draw Experimental Synthesizer, you casting it is your best bet there is just finding a land because you can't do anything else. Another hit by the Temporal Spring. He's got 29 cards left in his library. I'm just taking the damage. We're at a threshold now, though, that we have to start blocking, obviously. The clock is ticking on our end. Just 1 Boulder Blast, baby. Come on. Just taking the damage. We've got one chance to block everything and stay alive. And then we have to find a burn spell off the top. One time. You know we had it. We always had it. Hope you enjoyed the game.